Now there's sound. I'm told there's sound. We're just having some technical difficulties. I'm just a boy in my apartment, just doing the best I can. You know, sometimes just things don't go the way you want. And that's okay. That's just part of life. You know? You do what you think you're doing and you hope for the best, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for sticking around. I'm going to figure out this computer one way or another. One way or another. Try it. Like I said, we're trying a new streaming for Dallas, and it obviously didn't quite work. I need to probably go in and adjust some settings. But we'll get there. We got to get it working. We got so much cool stuff to talk about and show. We got to have the Thursday stream running. Werewolf by Midnight. Oh, I do love monsters. Werewolf and Frankenstein and Dracula. All those characters. Josh will tell you all about Bessie the Hell Cow. If you're into the spooky side of Marvel. Make sure Blade pays his taxes so it gets to you without delay. Yeah, the delays, those are unfortunate, but out of our control. And cascading effect of situations, right? If a boat can only carry 100 things a day and it stops for 300 days, you got a big backlog. There's a lot. It doesn't just right itself immediately. Like any economist will talk to you about how the long-term repercussions of the situation that we've gone through. Yeah, I know the tax thing. I'm just talking about the delay thing. I got it. I'm there. We're on the same page. I'm just being real. I can just stop being real. That's fine. We can just paint. We can just paint our little Blade Man. What are chances of getting a pallet cam? I mean, maybe we can get a pallet cam. Probably once we get back to like streaming from the studio instead of the house, we can set up a more permanent type situation that has a pallet cam. Doing it from the house, I only have so much gear, I only have so much room. Like, so, thanks for sticking with us as we all work from our homes. Well, not all of us, some of us. Like, totally understandable. Sorry about that. As we're working from our homes, we're trying our best to bring you content and stuff like that, but we don't quite have, I don't quite have the space for all the gear. So maybe once we move back to the studio and we're streaming from the studio, we can talk about palette cam. My palette's not that interesting. I'm happy to show it to you. It's just a mess. There's just 800 colors everywhere. I need some burnt umber. See more of the mixing side. Yeah, that's a good point, and that's part of why palette cams are super useful. Um, I don't use recipes. Um, I think recipes are some people's brain works like that. Mine doesn't. Um, so I try to teach to not rely on the recipe and just go with what looks and feels right. Um, like I'm just adding a little bit of like a warm brown to this. So my base layer was like a cool brown, and now this is a warm brown because you gotta add some life. But you can paint with your heart and just kind of go with what feels right. You don't have to follow a recipe. They're pretty good for learning. But once you start mixing and stuff like that, you can kind of do wacky stuff. I don't ever want to say this is how you paint red, right? I don't. That's not how I want to teach, and I teach more of a. So you can paint red like this. You can paint red like this. Like there's multiple ways to paint red, and they all look really really cool. Especially when we're doing like flesh tones. There's no wrong way to do it. They're all correct. They're all awesome. So you just kind of mix something up and something that feels right. Being real, I'll tell you another secret tip. Um, a lot of times, like even painting armies, even when you're painting armies in um, like in a more professional sense, close enough is good enough. So you can kind of eyeball it and get close enough, and no one will ever know. Yeah, learning by imitation. I mean, I think you can get a lot from just the streams and watching the paint being applied because the color doesn't matter. Right? I'm going with the warm brown. I'm going to add some burnt umber to it. The application is way more important than the mixing. But I know why the mix. I know why you want to see the mix. Not disagreeing. Curly Courage first. About to play my first tournament on the first. We'll be running Thanos, Corvus, Proxima, Nebula, Rocket, and perhaps Groot and some gems. What crises and tactics would you guys use? Boy, I don't have that kind of information in my head. I bring nonsense. I bring story stuff. I'm all narrative. I'm a play by feel guy. Sometimes I don't even play affiliation. Right before COVID, Pagani and I were going to the game store a lot and playing games. And uh, the team I played for a while was Team Science. And it was just like, people known for science. Iron Man, Shuri, Dr. Octopus. And I was just like, it's Team Science. I'm winning just because of that. But that's the way I play. And I just find whatever tactic cards I think sounds cool to play and works. And I usually pick my tactic cards at the table. I don't think I could pick all my favorite characters. I love so many characters in Marvel. As we stated several times, like we want to get to every character because every character is somebody's favorite, and we think that that's very important. So I kind of love everybody, kind of differently, but just as importantly as each other. No, we haven't done any convention exclusives since COVID. Not that I remember. So I had some burnt umber to my skin tone to start darkening it up. So the idea here is to start light and build dark and just leave some of that light showing to create the highlight. By sort of blending or glazing that over, I can maintain a lot of shadow while changing the tonality of large surfaces here. Get the chin. Yeah, there's just been event kits, which, oh, I played last 2 nights ago, and brought Mysterio, and Mysterio was the MVP, and my opponent was just not having Mysterio. And the Grand Illusion, I kept yelling Grand Illusion because that 3-inch bubble for Grand Illusion was just giving him fits. I was rolling good, but just turning off the crits was awesome. Mysterio was just an MVP for me the other night. Bessie the Hell Cow is totally a Dracula. I'm just slowly shading all the skin with this. Yeah, Jubilee was a vampire for a little bit. Did Blake go after her? I don't know. I don't remember if we did. All right, just umbral, just some burnt umber. Slowly building up the shadows, leaving some of that base color I left showing. I love this part. Just kind of like slowly taking my time and going a little slow today, aren't I? Been so busy, I haven't had time to paint. I feel like I'm out of practice. All right, let's add some blue. A little black to that burnt umber. This is going to give me a really, really nice dark shadow here. Got a weird tip on the brush there. Just grabbing some paint on the palette, finding something weird. Yeah, adjust my painting settings. I'm on slow mode. Alright, he's got a goatee, so I'm just going to paint his whole chin. This is a mix of like the darker tones and a touch of blue. And a touch of black. I want to use this for the deepest shadows. And what we'll do here is look at kind of glaze where his head is shaved. It's like it's darkened. But we're going to stretch that out so we maintain that like translucent buzz cut. On the sides of the head. Something like that. Just work it in there. This doesn't have to be as blended because it's on that side. It's a little hard to see, so it doesn't really matter. I'll add a little more black. Actually, we're going to add a lot more black. I'm going to paint that goatee again. Just darken it up. And let that hair dry. There we go. Do the sunglasses, why not? A little more black. All right. My black is running out. Grab a little more black. We're just using some artistic acrylic black. Nice and smooth. Let's do the front of the hair here. Just creating that division between skin and hair. Nice contrast point. What did everybody think of the reveal trailer? I know I'm stoked, especially for one character in particular. How would you do it mid? I'm doing the mid fade right now. We're putting a dark color toward the back of the head, and then I'm using a second damp brush to draw it forward across the side of the head over top of the skin tone. And that leaves a bit of translucency there. So you get that skin tone underneath, but it darkens it up to the hair color. And then if I want to do tattoos, the first thing I do when I do tattoos is I practice it on a piece of paper or on the palette or on my hand or whatever. It doesn't really matter. And you get your hand in the habit of drawing the same thing over. So give me something to draw here. Release the Buddies, Ghost Rider. What am I painting? Let's get some sort of shape. Like you just practice the shape, right? You get your brush as good as possible. And you just practice it. You're like, well, maybe that doesn't look right. You just keep practicing it. And you just keep going lighter and lighter, trying to do. Let me get rid of. Do a little tip on there. You want wet paint. And just use very wet paint. And just keep practicing it over and over to get your hand the way it's doing. And then you just commit to doing it. Also recommend like picking a color that's only slightly off from the color you're painting over. So like say we're painting on Blade here, I would pick something that's just ever so slightly darker than the skin tone for a tattoo. That way if you mess up, it's easy to hide, right? And that's very important. So like I would just pick something just slightly darker and I'd paint right. I just do it. And then if it looks good, then I lighten the paint or darken it even further, depending on the effect you want. And you just fill it in. And if you mess up, you just go back to your skin tone and you paint around it and you just tidy it up. So it's all about practice, you know? If everybody's afraid to mess up, but sometimes like just practicing it's not really messing up in my opinion. That's my belief. If you if you do something, I fear regret more than I fear failure. You know what I mean? And I would regret not trying it. So I'd rather get stuck in, paint something and kind of boff it, be like, well, that's not the best, but I learned something for it. And I think that I think the value of that is, uh, kind of grossly undervalued. The ancient one has 2 head options: hood up and hood down. I will tell you that. I'll also tell you that Dormammu is 100% my style of play and affiliation. All right, we're going to mix a little light color, like a peachy, in with our base color. I'm just going to do just a couple of little highlights. I'm not going to go too dramatic on these. Which is a better villain, him or Thanos? Oh, I mean, that's a tough call. I just love the way Dormammu plays. And one tactic card in particular that he comes with is just so good. I'm using very wet paint, just the tiniest touch of my brush to put these highlights on, just ever so slightly. Dormammu with Thanos? Well, you would not have very many characters on your team, but I'm more of a with Dormammu. I want more bodies. Here we go. I will say also that terrain. I love that terrain so much. The Cocoa Puffs, just the best. All right, a little bit of gray. I'm just gonna use little touches of the brush to add highlights, and the little touches add texture as well. In the releases, like the current releases, I mean, my first pick is probably going to be Sin and Crossbones. All right, I feel really happy with that. I'm gonna let I did went ahead and paint the sunglasses. They need to be a little more red. I painted them a light color. Let's get a little red, a little magenta to bring that all together. Because he's got to have cool red sunglasses. All right, let's make up a wash. Need a big brush for this. I'm just gonna grab some black, some art medium, maybe a slight touch of blue. Just a slight touch of blue. Who's my pick to go with Blade? I don't know. Ghost Rider. All right, we're just gonna wash his coat. Start turning it black. Yeah, the idea of millions is sort of a tricky one. Like, puddles of 1 point characters isn't really what the game is about. For us, the game is designed, like, it's designed around that mass combat of the heroes and doing really, really cool stuff. Like, and kind of telling that story and having fun with the big character moments against each other, Not really about like Captain America beats up 500 Hydra agents. Um, it's not really what's designed around. It's about like the moment the other day I had Craven run off and go for a token, and uh, Green Goblin rushed forward and started throwing pumpkin bombs at Magneto's constructs, and Mysterio was just in the middle, like confusing everybody with the grand illusion, which is, like I said, I kept yelling out. Um, it's about those big interactions between the characters, is what's designed around. But who knows what we'll think of in the future, though. But it'll always be about those big character moments. I was playing the other day, and somebody who hadn't played before, and I was playing like Crossbones attacks, and they're like, "I'm up here." I'm like, "Yeah, Crossbone has a strike, but that doesn't mean punch." Like, in my mind, it's each action is a panel in a comic book, right? And it's all the panels together that tells the story. And some things are all happening all at once, right? Like, one action might in reality be only taking place in like, 3 seconds of time. Like, it's kind of where I'm at. It's like 6 or 3 seconds of time is an action. So it's all these like little minute things, and like a lot of things are happening all at once. So if I was like drawing the comic book, like let's say I was drawing the comic book, and Crossbones was standing there, and he punches. He uses a strike, and somebody was up on a roof. Like, the story I would tell in the comic book is like maybe Green Goblin throws a pumpkin bomb over at Crossbones because Green Goblin's on my side because Green Goblin's awesome, and Crossbones catches it in midair or in midair, like punches it up at the enemy, and they're like, "What?" And then now they're all confused, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, and a single strike might not be like a crossbow strike isn't just crossbow punch, like in the narrative is a strike is like multiple things happening all at once, right? So like when Blade makes a strike, it's like sword kick, right? When Crossbones strikes, like maybe that's an elbow smash and a knee, and then he throws him on the ground. Like it's not just a punch. It's not just you got. It's all about all the action, all around everything, and however you describe it yourself. That's why they're called strikes and not punch and kick. The little symbol is a little punch because it's just an icon to show like physical, to represent a physical attack. But we kind of leave it ambiguous for the storytelling. For you to tell a story. I love Brock Rumlow. He's just a beater. What does Sam Wilson's Red Wing Assault actually depict, since he does have Red Wing? We talked about that. It's more of a, he kind of swoops in along. I'd have to read the rules to remember exactly how, like what that was, like what the thought was. If Chick is in the chat, he can speak to it in a greater depth. But it's like the Red Wing. That's the one that with the push, right, or the charge. It's like he activates Red Wing and launches forward, doing like that big cool kick that he does, like you've seen it depicted before, and pushing everybody back, or his foe, his singular foe, not everybody. Yeah, each dice is kind of a different action in the strike, right? I did say punch bones, didn't I? I'm painting and talking all at the same time. Sometimes you get kerfuddled. I'm just doing another layer here on this black just to darken it out. Just to darken it up more. Yeah, it's not really designed as a what's the word? A simulation game. It's the design is very narrative and very left up to interpretation. Like you can kind of interpret Red Wing attack however you want. What do you see happen when that happens? I want to hear what you see. Like a lot of times, like if you watch the streams and when I'm playing, like I kind of describe the action I see in my head, right? Just darkening the coat. Just darkening the coat. Yeah, dive bombing, like just coming in, dive bombing somebody. Dive bomb, wings spread out, He spins around in a 360, right? Boom. To me, the characters are never static on the table. Like, things move up and they stop because in a game, you can't move everything all at once. But in my mind, the action never stops. The character is never standing there. The character is never just standing there. They're always in motion. It's just snapshots. It's comic panels, right? So you activate and Sam Wilson goes and he does his cool thing. He does Red Wing Assault. He swoops down, drop kicks some fool, like maybe drop kicks Zemo. Does a big wing spin because it looks dramatic and awesome. And that's like a couple comic panels. And then you get to go. You activate Red Skull because now you got Red Skull and Zemo. So you're playing Cabal. And Red Skull goes and does all his stuff. Like, that's his comic panel. And then it kicks over to, back to my side. And I activate Brock Rumlow. And he does his cool thing. And that's his comic panels, right? But all those actions together are happening all at the same time or nearby the same time. And that's what makes it a comic book. Right? You can't read every page of a comic book all at the same time, even when the action's happening all at the same time. It's the same thing with the game. It's just all happening. Tell the story. You can tell me I'm not making sense. I'm fine with that. I'm just rambling. So what we do. This is how playtest goes, actually. Like, you went inside into internal playtest, like, that's it. Dallas just going, and then he's like, I shoot my gun. And that guy's like, I dodge it. And then he's like, no. And he's like, the building blew up. No, not the building. And then Captain America jumps over here and he's just like, I'll save you. And everybody's like, yeah. Raise the budget. I don't know. I don't know how much help they need. I mean, I've seen Groot used to great success, and Iron Man does what Iron Man does. Boy, oh boy, when you get Friday off and the chest beam, which I can't remember the name of right now. Like, super fun. I think the bell curve is much tighter than you might think or we might think. I think the bell curve is very, very tight. I think the top is way closer to the bottom. I'm mixing up a gray. Unibeam, yeah, Friday AI and Unibeam. Man, that wrecks fools. Wrecks them. Oh my gosh, we've been painting for an hour. And I've just begun. Okay, I gotta put this gray on. Then I need to finish up. Because I have a meeting. Trick just sent me a message. It's meeting time. I do have a meeting time. So this gray is going to turn to black, but I need that gray on there because I want the pants to be a little bit lighter and more of a dark gray, but I need that lightness first, and then the coat will have some more blues and stuff added, so it'll be more of a blue black. Okay, so. My new thing is, oh, I can't switch to face cam. I'm looking for all my control panels. I forgot that we're doing this other way. All right, so it's about time to go. It's 2 o'clock. We've been painting for an hour, and I thank you very, very much for hanging out and doing some fun painting with us. Hopefully you enjoyed painting Blade and picked up some tips and tricks and stuff like that that you can utilize on your next painting adventure. And I can't wait to see what you paint up and post it and show us. Of course, where you want to post it is Instagram. Follow us over there and use hashtag painting protocol. Every month we pick some of the coolest things that we've seen on the Instagrams, and we feature them and showcase them, which is always super fun. So remember, check us out there. And for all the latest news, information, and announcements from Atomic Master, you should check out the Twitter account. Tomorrow, John Schaefer will be back for some painting. And then remember, every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is Atomic Master Transmissions Live. You can join us in for painting fun and just wild, reckless, abandoned nonsense that we are known to do. So until then, we'll catch you later and have a great week. Bye. Thanks, Tim the Boss.